There are moments when Santa Clara has to stop treating hard roster decisions like simple paperwork. Today, there is a possible cornerback cut coming, an explosive linebacker name floating around the market, an analyst putting the 49ers quarterback room at the top of the NFC, and Kyle Shanahan sitting on an offensive advantage that might be shifting. That is contender pressure, not June noise. If you bleed red and gold, subscribe right now because this one comes with accountability. Darrell Luter Jr. is walking into the kind of territory a serious contender cannot get emotional about. And yes, that sounds harsh because back in 2023, there was real hope that the 49ers had found another late-round pick who could develop, become useful, and maybe fight his way into meaningful snaps. But the NFL does not reward old promise. The NFL demands production right now, and Luter's situation has become dangerous because San Francisco is no longer treating cornerback like a position where you can wait forever. He played 17 games in 2025, started 3, logged 271 defensive snaps, and kept contributing heavily on special teams, so nobody can act like he simply vanished. But when opponents target your side and leave with a 101.0 passer rating, when every completion allowed averages 13.7 yards, the conversation changes. That stops being development. That becomes trust on real Sundays. And making it even heavier, the loudest memory from his time with the team is still that special teams mistake in the Super Bowl after he was drafted. One play does not define an entire career, but in San Francisco the standard is brutal because the goal is a championship. When you do not replace a bad memory with big moments, that bad memory keeps sitting at the table. The front office seems to understand that. Nate Hobbs arrived as a veteran with a real chance to take space. Ephesians Prysock was drafted on day 3 in exactly the type of move that puts pressure on the bottom of the roster. Renardo Green is being watched too, of course, but the difference is that the team seems to be collecting answers on Green. With Luter, the feeling is different. It feels like the 49ers are already preparing the exit, and the money does not protect him. In the final year of his rookie deal, cutting Luter before Week 1 would leave only $78,378 in dead money. For a franchise trying to build the sharpest possible roster, that is basically an open door. So the message is simple and brutal. Either Luter walks into training camp and forces the coaches to rethink everything, or he becomes another name swallowed by the competition. Because red and gold does not need feel-good stories at the back of the roster. It needs players who survive pressure. Now the conversation moves from a cold roster cut to a possibility that changes the pulse of the defense. Patrick Queen in San Francisco. There is no confirmed negotiation right now, so the Reed has to stay responsible. But if Pittsburgh opens the door, if the Steelers decide to reorganize money, hierarchy, or the future of that defense, the 49ers cannot just stand there acting like this has nothing to do with them. Because Queen is not some random name tossed onto a rumor board. He is a linebacker with first-round pedigree, speed, physical impact, and the ability to attack the entire field. And when you place that kind of profile next to Fred Warner, the defensive imagination gets bigger fast. Warner is already the brain, the captain, the player who organizes chaos before the snap. Now imagine putting someone beside him who can run sideline to sideline, hit the run game, cover space, and speed up bad decisions from opposing offenses. That would be a defense speaking louder. Not just good, more aggressive, more suffocating, more irritating for any quarterback trying to throw over the middle. That is the point. San Francisco is not in a phase where it should collect pretty names. Every move has to answer one direct question. Does this help the team win in January? Patrick Queen, because of the fit, the competitive age, and the style, would deserve at least a phone call if the market heated up. But aggression is not desperation. The 49ers cannot pay any price just because the name is exciting. If the cost in picks, contract money, or future flexibility gets ridiculous, the move stops being smart and starts being impulse. And a contender trying to lift the trophy has to know how to attack without sabotaging itself. What grabs me about this possibility is the shape of it. Nick Bosa creating pressure up front. Warner commanding the middle. Queen free to close angles, accelerate downhill against the run, and punish physical offenses. That would not be a depth piece. That would be a statement. That would be San Francisco telling the NFC, you thought this defense was just trying to get back to what it used to be? No. It might come back faster, angrier, and with more bite. For now, it is a possibility. But it is a possibility that fits the size of this window way too well. And when a Super Bowl window is open, the worst mistake is acting like a major opportunity never knocked. Then comes one of those statements that people outside the Bay Area will try to brush aside, but it deserves a real conversation. CBS Sports' Emery Hunt called the 49ers quarterback room the most complete in the NFC. That is not a small claim. This conference has Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, Matthew Stafford, Caleb Williams, and plenty of other strong names. So when somebody says San Francisco has the most complete group, that shakes the whole league. But the key is not pretending Brock Purdy has to be treated like the flashiest quarterback on the planet. The key is understanding the value of the entire room. Purdy has already proven he can win. He has already taken this offense on deep playoff runs. He has already shown quick processing, accuracy, and trust inside a system that demands more than just a big arm. In Kyle Shanahan's offense, the quarterback has to think fast, throw on time, sell play action, take the right gain, and keep the structure clean. Purdy has done that in big moments. The question now is different. Can he stay healthy and keep climbing into a higher tier? Because in San Francisco, belonging is no longer enough. He already belongs. Now the demand is to become the kind of quarterback who ends the argument when the game gets tight. But Hunt's statement gets stronger because of who is behind him. Mac Jones as QB2 changes the comfort level. Not because anybody needs to create some lazy controversy at the top of the position, but because the 49ers know better than almost anyone how a season can fall apart when the backup plan cannot carry the weight. Having a backup who understands reads, rhythm, and structure is not a luxury. It is campaign protection. And when Hunt also mentions Adrian Martinez and Curtis Rourke, the message gets wider. This team is not betting on one body alone. It is trying to build resistance. 4 quarterbacks with different profiles, all inside an environment where Shanahan can maximize timing, decision-making, and fit. The faithful need to step into this debate without flinching. Do you agree this is the most complete quarterback room in the NFC? Or do you think there still has to be more individual respect before the Niners can sit at that top spot? Because I will say this, quarterback depth does not show up on a poster, but it can save a season. And smart contenders do not ignore insurance when the road to February always comes with a price. The final story goes straight into the brain of the 49ers offense. Is Kyle Shanahan going to reduce the use of 21 personnel, even though it has been one of the team's biggest statistical weapons? Some people hear that and think it is too technical. But if you follow the Niners closely, this is pure gold. We are not just talking about formation. We are talking about identity, advantage, and control. San Francisco led the league in 21 personnel usage, with 2 running backs, 1 tight end, and 2 receivers on the field. And according to ESPN's Matt Bowen, the 49ers also had the best EPA and the most explosive plays out of that look. So when the team put that grouping on the field, opposing defenses were stuck in a nightmare. If they went heavy, Shanahan attacked space. If they went light, the physical run game came knocking. That is the kind of edge you do not hand away for style points. But this is where it gets interesting. Maybe the question is not whether they abandon 21 personnel. Maybe it is whether they stop letting the league know exactly where San Francisco wants to live. Kyle Juszczyk is still trusted, even as he gets older. He still has value as a blocker, as a read piece, as the player who makes a defense hesitate for half a second. But this roster looks more ready to change faces. Jake Tongas could get work with the first team while George Kittle recovers. And if Tongas really provides enough blocking with a little more juice in the passing game, 12 personnel starts to carry real weight. 2 tight ends on the field change angles, protections, routes, and the way defenses choose their personnel. Then there is the pressure from the receiver room. If Mike Evans and Ricky Pearsall are healthy inside that projection, they naturally pull snaps in 2 wide receiver packages. But Christian Kirk and Dezon Stribling add another layer to the conversation. For the first time in a while, using 3 receivers more often does not feel like improvising. It feels like an option. So the demand for Shanahan is simple. Do not throw away the weapon that worked, but do not let opposing defenses study the whole manual before September either. The 49ers offense has to be physical, yes. It has to keep its soul. But if this roster really is more versatile, then the obligation is to turn that depth into a headache for every defensive coordinator in the NFC. In the end, these 4 stories are saying the same thing through different doors. The 49ers do not have room for comfort anymore. Luter is on the bubble because contenders do not wait forever. Patrick Queen shows up as a possibility because a championship defense has to scare people. The quarterback room is getting respect because depth can save a season. And Shanahan may have to vary things more because the weapon got bigger. That is the demand in Santa Clara. Protect the window, cut what does not raise the level, and attack every possible edge. This is 49ers Express. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay with me because the race toward the next step for the Niners has already started.